Poor is a mental state of mind, but nobody is actually poor.
Nobody is poor? Really? In 2019, it has been reported that 682 million people were living in extreme poverty. In this video, Tech Lead is going to explain, according to him, why money is fake. So is money actually fake? What the hell is he even talking about? Let's find out.
One of the funny things about money I've realized is that it isn't real and is not what we believe it to be. A lot of people say they're poor. Well, if people are so poor, why aren't they starving out on the streets?
Actually, some people are. In some parts of the world, even in the country that you live in, some people they have nothing to eat. And also, compared to somebody else, you're going to be poor. And compared to somebody else, on the other hand, you are going to be rich. If we didn't have rich people and poor people, we wouldn't have that distinction in the first place. I mean, the only reason some people we said that they're taller is because some people are shorter.
Like, have you ever thought about if you were to run out of money, and if people really are poor out there, how come nobody's starving? Seems everybody's just fine, actually.
No, they're not. There's plenty of people starving to death all over the world. Otherwise, we wouldn't even need to have charity if that were not the case. Around 9 million people every year, they die because of hunger or hunger-related diseases. A child dies from hunger every 10 seconds. Now, I might be talking about the middle class. When you look at most people, they fall within the middle class category. They're not poor, meaning they're not starving to death, they're not homeless, but they're also not wealthy or rich. So that's most people. However, in reality, nowadays, with the buying power of the middle class shrinking and shrinking year after year because of inflation, among other things, the middle class is the new poor. Because to give you an example, you need to realize that back then with 1 million, it was actually like if you had $5 million today. You could buy so much more stuff with it. So $5 million is the new $1 million.
And so what I don't understand is, I hear people say that they're poor. Poor is a mental state of mind, but in reality, they're not willing to work, right? You don't see them picking up the $10 per hour jobs at McDonald's. They're not willing to put in that work.
Obviously, who wants to work for $10 an hour at McDonald's? No one. I don't think that anyone in their right mind would love to do that job for the rest of their life. And what's more, to be only paid $10 per hour. We all want a better life. We all want to improve the quality of our lives and that of our loved ones. If you're watching this video right now, then probably it means that you want to obtain a better future for yourself. You want to have financial abundance, you want to be free, you want to travel whenever you want to be able to buy nice things for yourself and for the people that you love without having to take the price tag into consideration. And you know what? You're damn right. Honestly, go to any fast food chain, like go to McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and ask the employees there, would you not rather just travel or have fun or do something else? All of them would tell you yes, and they would also tell you that the only reason they're working right now at McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever, it's because they simply have to. And no, being poor is not just a state of mind. Like sure, there is such a thing as having a scarcity mindset and having the mindset of somebody who is broke, and to me the difference between being broke and being poor, it's obviously, if you speak about it in financial terms, there is no difference. Being broke and being poor, you have no money, so it's the same thing either way. But if you are talking about a mental state, then I would say that being broke, it's when you have the opportunity to make more money, to do better, but in order to get there, to get to that level, you need to work hard and to make some sacrifices. And when you're not willing to put in the work, to put effort into improving your finances, then yes, you have the mindset of somebody who is broke, quote unquote. But go tell that to people who are starving to death or to homeless people that being poor is simply a state of mind. Really?
They want to wear high-end brand clothing. They don't want to wear like some Walmart brand, Costco brand clothing, and they want like the Michelin star restaurants. They're not going to eat at some, they're not going to cook ramen for themselves.
You know, the funny thing is that, yes, most people, they want to wear the nice brands because usually they're better quality. And some people want to do it for the status only, and that's fine if that's what they want to do. A lot of people actually wear Walmart clothes. And for the funny anecdote, I live in France, and at some point there was a store called Lidl, and they started to sell their own t-shirts with their big logo, like it's a supermarket, and they even sold sneakers with their logo. And guess what? It became a trend. People bought that stuff. And it's not a high-end brand, it's literally just a supermarket. So yeah, some people would definitely wear Walmart clothes even if it has the big logo on it.
And so weirdly, the conclusion I've reached is that nobody is actually poor.
Nobody is poor? Really? In 2019, it has been reported that 682 million people were living in extreme poverty. So really, nobody is poor? Now, if he's talking about middle-class people who said that they're poor, technically, it's not like they're wrong. Because if all you do is just wake up early, go to your 9 to 5, or whatever the schedule is, then you come back and you're so tired and exhausted, but hey, you need to take care of other responsibilities, of kids, of doing this, of running some errands, of doing some chores, then at the end of the day, all you want to do is to just prop down on the couch, watch some Netflix, watch some TV, and just relax, because you're exhausted exhausted, you're done. So yes, you are not homeless, you are not starving to death, but tell me, what kind of life is that? Growing up in a low-income family, I've seen how people would spend their time after work and even during their vacations. And all they would do during the vacation is simply to watch TV and to pretty much do nothing at all. So you're working hard all year long to then just watch TV? Well, tell me, what is the point of living a life like this? Some people are going to try to make you feel guilty for wanting to experience the best things in life, but we are all like that. If you're like me, you love supercars, you love sports cars, some people, they would try to shame you if you drive those cars, or even if you don't drive those type of cars, but simply because you want to own one someday, some people, they will say, oh, you can't do this, oh, it's bad, you're selfish. In reality, it's just pure jealousy. When you become successful, a lot of people, they're going to try to become your friend, but in reality, all they care about is to benefit from your wealth. The funny thing that I've noticed is that when you start to get some success, there's plenty of people from the past that you've had no contact with for like a couple years, they come back to the surface and they say, hey, how's it going? Wanna be friends? Really?
Everyone's actually doing just fine, because if people actually were poor and running out of money, we would see real actual starvation out on the streets of America, and we just don't see that.
Is this guy even going out, like taking a walk sometimes? Have you never seen somebody who is homeless?
People you do see on the streets in those cardboard boxes are there by choice, actually, because they wanted the easy access to their drugs and fentanyl. Their families kicked them out and they wanted to be next to their drug buddies, but it wasn't necessarily because they were poor and just ran out of money. They had other reasons to be there on the streets. And
I think he's obviously joking. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
so what really people mean when they say I'm poor is they're talking about status. So we live in a status economy.
He's not completely wrong about this. Like I said, if we didn't have rich people, then we wouldn't know what poor is to begin with. If we didn't have daylight, we would not know what night is. We always need opposites to understand one thing, because without the other thing stops existing as well. Like, to give you another example, if you never ever felt sad, then how would you know that you're happy? You would not, because it would be neutral. It's only because sometimes you feel really miserable, you feel sad, you feel angry, that you know what it's like to feel joyful, happy, and even peaceful. But it's true that if you're not driving an Audi or a Mercedes or any high-end car, people are going to say that you're poor, when in reality you have a car, so technically speaking you're not poor from a financial point of view. But from a status point of view, if you're driving a Toyota, a Honda Civic, a Fiat Mini, then yes, you would be considered poor.
It's not a financial economy anymore. And so here's the thing, what's really going on is when someone comes to you and tells you that I'm poor, what they're really telling you is I have low status and I want higher status.
And that actually makes a lot of sense. Most middle class people, from a financial point of view, they're not considered poor. They're like in between. They're not poor, but they're not rich either. However, when it comes to social status, they will be considered poor. Why? Because they don't have the nice cars, the big houses, and quite honestly, they don't have much freedom. And usually, they are the class who suffers the most, because they pay lots of taxes, they work hard, but in the end, for what?
And I think this realization may change your relationship with money, how you spend it, and how you give it to other people, because do you really want to go around giving status to other people when they ask for money? It's not so much financial need, because nobody's actually starving out there. Poor is a state of mind. When we're young, maybe we're taught that money can buy you food, shelter, housing, water, but in reality, nobody's actually starving out there on the streets. People can get access to this stuff, but this long-held relationship that money is going to buy you survival and life no longer actually applies.
He's got a point. For most people that are middle class, and it's probably your case if you are watching this video right now, you're not technically going to die tomorrow because you won't be able to get food or to get water. For most of you, you're going to wake up to go to your job that you don't like, or to go to university to then get a degree and then get a good job that pays 50k a year, 60k a year. But it's having this life that is just so quote-unquote boring. Most people at the end of a long workday, all they want to do, like I said, is to just go watch some YouTube, go watch some Netflix, entertain themselves, because they're drained. And that's why movies, they're always going super fast, everything is happening, like there's 10,000 different things going on at the same time. It's because it needs to keep you hooked. If everyday life is so boring, then movies cannot be boring as well. Technically speaking, human beings are also animals. However, we've got a big difference with like cats, cows, horses, and all those other animals. We not only need shelter, food, beverages to survive, but we also have other needs. A cat isn't going to care if they don't change the world, if they don't impact people positively, if they don't solve world hunger. A cat isn't going to care about driving a supercar or having a very successful business. They simply don't care. All they care about is to eat, sleep, and drink. That's all they do. And sure, they have fun a little bit. But we as human beings, we also have other needs. We want to feel useful. We want to accomplish our purpose, whatever it is. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the bottom, you have physiological needs like water, shelter, food. Then you've got safety needs, and on top of that is love and belonging, having a social circle, having friends, having a family, having a partner. But then the other two tiers, which are esteem and self-actualization, all the other animals in the animal kingdom, freedom, they don't have those needs. Only human beings do. But we typically need to feel respected, recognized. And sure, animals do this in their own way. But like I said, they're not going to have the same goals as we do. So even if you can buy food every day, you can get water, you can have shelter, you can have eating, electricity, I don't think that this necessarily is going to make you happy. At least if you're like me, you want to set high challenges for yourself. And you derive your happiness, your fulfillment from crushing your goals day after day, making progress. And that is why people seek for social status. That's why people start businesses, because they want to obtain more freedom, more abundance, more wealth, and also be more respected by others, have a higher social status. I mean, simply put, people treat you better when you've got more money. Go to the Toyota dealership, see how they treat you, and then go to the McLaren dealership. I can guarantee it is a completely different experience. At the end of the day, life is kind of like a video game. The more money you have, you'll have access to more resources, more comfort, a bigger network, more influential people.
I don't see most people out there living this very basic Walmart lifestyle where they're eating McDonald's and maybe even working a job. Like, nobody's doing that. When people say they're poor, it means they want a Lamborghini. That's what they mean.
Or they really have barely any money and they're working 2 jobs at the same time and they have to provide for their newborn. So yeah, not everybody says that they're poor because they want a Lamborghini. To be fair, some people don't even like Lamborghinis. So it's true that when somebody says I'm poor, the meaning of what they say is going to depend on who they are, on their position in life, and on their goals, their aspirations. Like I said, somebody working 2 jobs, 3 jobs at the same time to provide for their family, for their newborn. If they say they're poor, well, it's not going to be the same thing as somebody who is making 6 figures a year and they say that they're poor because they don't drive a Lamborghini.
And most people out there are not willing to work like a $10 wage slave job. They want like $50 or $100 per hour. That's what people want.
Obviously, if you ask anyone, would you like to be paid more per hour? Everyone would say yes. However, I need to warn you, because you'll never break past a certain level and you will never be able to achieve true wealth if you're constantly trading your time for money. Because at the end of the day, let's say that you go from making $10 an hour and now you make $100 an hour. That's a 10x increase. That's amazing. However, at the same time, if you wanted to make 7 figures a year, or let's say even 8 figures a year, that wouldn't be possible just because you're making $100 an hour. So at some point, if you want to break past that plateau where you're just overworking yourself, you're exhausted, and you're making some decent money, but really you've got no freedom, you've got to understand that there's plenty of CEOs and overworked professionals and they make 6 figures a year. They drive an Audi, a Mercedes, but in reality they've got no free time. They work 80 hours a week, they have no time to see their family, to enjoy their hobbies, or to literally spend their money, because all they do is work. So making more money is great, yes, but at what price? What is it costing you to make more money? This is why, in my opinion, the best way to build actual wealth is to start your own online business, because there is, technically speaking, no limit to how much money you can make, and you don't have to constantly trade your time for money. Now, fair enough, when you just start, it might be the case, but at some point you'll have the opportunity to hire and to delegate the work to other people who can even do the work better than you ever could, and that is how you get exponential results and you get to a crazy level in terms of wealth. If you want to start your own online business, but you don't know what to do, I have recorded a free video that is going to analyze every popular online business model, and together we are going to figure out which one is the best to start for beginners. We take a look at the pros, at the cons, and I am also going to share with you the 3-step process that you can use to start getting your first customers today. The link is in the description below if you are interested.
Anybody out there can get a basic job. Nobody wants that basic job.
Actually, it depends. I used to know some people and they wanted to get a job at a retail store. It turns out they were not hiring that many people. So just because it's a low-end job, it doesn't mean that they're going to hire everybody. From what I've seen, they're actually trying to cut down how many employees they can have. This means that a lot of the time, the employees that work for the company, they have to do the job of 2 persons at the same time.
Nobody wants Walmart clothes, they want the Gucci clothes.
Well, funny enough, I don't like Gucci. At least when it comes to the clothing, I just don't like it. So I would rather wear a plain Walmart t-shirt with no logos rather than a Gucci shirt with a big ugly logo. I mean, as you can see, I'm always wearing the same kind of polo shirts and they never have a logo. I like very minimalistic stuff. That's why there isn't 10,000 different colors in the background, and as you can see, it's pretty simple and minimalistic. So no, not everybody wants to wear Gucci.
They don't want to drive a Toyota Corolla or Kia, they want to drive the Porsches out there.
And so, what's wrong with that? I personally love cars. I've driven all types of cars. But honestly, I much prefer the supercars. I much prefer an Audi, a Mercedes to a Toyota, and that's for very obvious reasons. They're just so amazing. Now, what some people do is that they're going to buy an expensive car, like let's say a Rolls Royce, but they don't even like that car. And the only reason why they buy it is because they want to signal to others how much social status they have. They want to show off how much wealth they really have. But in reality, in my opinion, true wealth and true freedom, it's not buying a car just for the status status aspect. Rather, it's buying a car because you truly love that car. I would much rather buy a cheaper sports car because I love that car, as opposed to getting the one that is the most expensive, even if I don't really like the design or even if I don't really like driving it, just because other people are going to be more impressed. At the end of the day, it's still a supercar. Either way, people will be impressed. So why buy the most expensive one just to show off? And also, there's nothing wrong with wanting to drive a nice car, because then if you say that this is wrong, it's kind of like saying that if you want to go to the gym and build a better body, if you want to exercise, that you want to take care of yourself, it's selfish and it's bad and you shouldn't do it. Well, why? Is life all about just pain and suffering for literally no reason? Suffer for something that makes sense. Suffer because you're putting in the work to then get the dream life that you want. Don't just suffer for literally nothing in return. What would be the point?
And that's what they mean when they say they're poor. They want that status. It's not about financial need. And so, for example, I saw this tweet here. A family friend retired in 2015, got into the crypto craze, lost a lot. He's still retired, but he and his wife eat at Costco every night for dinner, and they're probably going to get a divorce soon. Well, why? Like, what's wrong with Costco food? People want more status? That's what people wanted. It's not so much that they can't survive. So I think the funny thing is that poor today doesn't mean you're going to starve or you're not going to have a place to live. It means you get to eat Costco pizza, which just isn't enough for some people. But, Costco pizza, it tastes pretty good too, right? And it's pretty healthy, actually.
Costco pizza is pretty healthy, actually? Really? He's got a fair point about poor being about having a higher social status in reality, as opposed to being, oh, I cannot pay for food or for drinks. At least for the middle class, this is the case. However, there's a lot of people that are actually poor, and 9 million people die because of hunger or hunger-related issues every year. A child also dies from hunger every 10 seconds. So no, it is not a light problem, and we need to fix that. And so what if you don't want to eat at Costco? Is it a bad thing? Does it make you a bad person? No. You're allowed to want the better things in life. If you want to stay in 5-star hotels and dine in the best restaurants in the world, drive fancy cars, why would you not allow yourself to? Why wouldn't you chase after those things if that's what you want? You really need to ask yourself, well, why am I alive? And at the end of my life, if I don't go after my dreams, will I not regret all the things that I could have done, but I just didn't do them? All of that because I was so afraid of how other people were going to perceive me, of how other people were going to judge me. At the end of the day, it's your life, and you need to chase after your dreams, because if you don't, the truth is, you will build the dreams of somebody else. Now with that said, if you want to start your own online business, you don't know where to start, the link to the free video is in the description below. And with that said, as always, I am waiting for you on the other side.